After about a year and a half, Egghead has finally concluded. And honestly, me personally, I thought there was going to be a little bit more stuff. Like, I know Joy Boy just did his hockey and all that, but I don't know, part of me thought we were going to get a little bit more. But I'm definitely happy with this arc entirely though. It might be an 8, 9, somewhere around there. You can talk about that at the end of the video though. But let's close out this final chapter of Egghead getting into the review. So it starts off with the aftermath of Joy Boy's hockey being expunged everywhere, and we see every single Marine, captain, everyone is just completely knocked out. The girls say, obviously we know they got sent back to the room of authority, or whatever. Did I say that right? Bourgeois? Whatever that room is, they got sent back to that too. Every single Marine is just slumped on the ground. And there's even a panel of Seraph Hall Hancock asking them to get up, and the Straw Hats are fleeing. Cause like, yeah, they're out cold from Joy Boy's hockey. Then all the Giants and Luffy notice that, and Luffy's taking the Iron Giant. And the Iron Giant, unfortunately, Emmett, my guy, he is no longer with us. He's dead. Let's get a moment of silence for Emmett right now. Okay, now that that's out the way, and I saw something in a One Piece Twitter community. I saw somebody get mad that Luffy was laughing at Emmett and him dying. And they followed that up with saying that, well, why can't One Piece ever take a moment to like commemorate anyone? Or like, why can't we, you know, make it as like one serious moment, one serious panel? Hey man, when has Luffy ever been taking anything seriously? And even when he's not taking something seriously, or I should say, even when he is taking something seriously, he's laughing when he's doing it too. We all know that he's not laughing at the fact that that Emmett has died, right? And like, that's just like, that's Luffy. That's just, he even said thank you. Like, if he wasn't taking that seriously, he wouldn't have said thank you. Come on, man. And plus, obviously when him, Vegapunk, Chopper, they were in the little like cave or dumpster, whatever it was, and they saw the Iron Giant. Obviously he knew of the Iron Giant, but he didn't know him like that to the point where like he'd be like shedding tears that he died. So like, them being a little bit over the top and trying to be like, oh, commemorate him with one whole panel and everybody doing something, it wouldn't necessarily fit with like just Luffy's personality and this whole chapter in general. Because like, they genuinely, aside from Luffy and Chopper, and obviously Vegapunk, but Vegapunk's cooked, aside from Luffy and Chopper, no one else really knew the Iron Giant. So why would they take a moment to really like make it a serious moment? I don't see why we have to make that big of a deal out of it. But that's Luffy and the Iron Giant though. Then in the next panel over, we see everyone celebrating. We see Bonnie finally hugging on her dad. As a W reunion, man, I really hope his dad, or I really hope Kuma ends up coming back to the story in some way, or they end up being able to actually fix him for real this time. And then we finally get announced where we're going next. And ladies and gentlemen, like we all knew once the Giants shown up, we are going to ELBAF. And we see Usopp excited. We see Grandpa Luffy after he just exhausted himself using Gear 5. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the way to ELBAF. You know what ELBAF means? It's finally Usopp's arc. And I know. Wano was realistically supposed to be Zoro's arc because, you know, like swords and all that stuff. And we didn't technically get that. But if we're going to ELBAF and Usopp doesn't get some sort of buff or upgrade in this arc, I don't know if he ever will. Like, genuinely. So, like, ELBAF, it has to be his arc. Has to be. And towards the end of this panel, we see Sanji and Vegapunk talking, and Sanji's all like, Vegapunk, what you said earlier isn't sitting right with me. Was this all some sort of gotcha moment? I didn't really know what he was referring to right there. That was kind of a weird little couple panels for me. After we see that, we see a flashback of 2 years prior to Egghead, but to actually build off of what Sanji and Vegapunk were actually talking about, 2 weeks prior, we get a little flashback of Shaka revealing that someone was tampering with the Mother Flame. And throughout this whole conversation, we see Punk 4, I forgot his name, Shaka and Vegapunk all talking about who it could possibly be. Vegapunk instantly jumped to Lilith. That shit was kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. But they all of them knew about this way before everything started going down on Egghead, right? Then we get another panel 1 week before the present. Pythagoras, I think that's his name, Pythagoras realizes that he identified the culprit, and obviously it was York. Vegapunk and all of them already knew that York was already behind this, weeks and weeks prior. How they basically realized this, or Pythagoras realized this, was that she was uploading faulty, like, you know, memories to Punk records, because, you know, all of them are connected through one brain, and I guess to bypass, you know, not have everybody know what was going on, she's uploaded false memories. Then Shaka also found evidence that somebody was tampering with the Sea Beast and using them without, you know, everyone's authority. So yeah, York, she got caught, and now she is cooked. And not even just that, they also found a white jammy transponder snail somewhere, and they were using that. They used that snail to reconstruct that and reconstruct the call data, and then they found out that she was contacting Maurice Y and Gorosei. So I don't know where they found that snail, but they reconstructed that, got the data, and they were able to prove that York, She was a traitor. Then we jump to 6 days before the present, and this is around the time that the kingdom of Louisia had got destroyed. And then Vegapunk, he realizes to himself, he's like, damn, like someone stole the Mother Flame, and somebody was able to do that. I wonder, you know, probably have an ancient weapon. And the power that York stole, they used that to power the ancient weapon. When he realized that, this was his face. That looks like the face of somebody who just created a weapon of mass destruction and just destroyed an entire kingdom on accident. So Vegapunk continues talking, and he realizes that at this point, they already know that they're working on the voice entry, so at some point they're going to get killed. Like once he comes to the realization that like that's actually gonna happen, he immediately just jumps to being able to be like, hey, we gotta save everybody on the island, and then we gotta, you know what I'm saying, we gotta do something. Like we can't just sit here around and do nothing. And he said he's prepared to die. But he said the one thing that Ohara had that we don't have, technology. Guess what he was referring to? You know, the little message that, you know, that was going on now, that's what he was referring to. Then we get this nice little panel of him saying, if I must die, I will sell my life dearly. And I'm not gonna lie, all these panels right here of him talking about everything, him coming to terms with like, basically, you know, like the secret's already out, so we're gonna die anyway. So I might as well use the last moments of my life to actually do something good. Actually made me like his character really a lot more. Cause I'm not gonna lie, it just seemed like he was a really smart old man with a very large tongue. Didn't really do nothing. I don't know, it's just like he was a cool character, but like he didn't really have nothing like that was all he was, just old, smart, and seemed kind of brain dead in the head. But that gets also explained too. And, you know, there was this kind of awkward moment too in this chapter where him and York were talking, and he was all like, you know, smiley, because, you know, he can't really, like, he's gonna have to, or he's gonna get his cover blown that, you know, he knows about what York's doing. But yeah, I just know like this panel right here, it was definitely awkward for him. Then we jump to 2 days before the present where they're actually starting to actually record the message now. Then as they finish up recording the message, Vegapunk realizes that, yo, like if someone finds out about this, like the message, where it's hidden, all these other things, like it's gonna be really bad. So what they do is Pythagoras, Shaka, and Vegapunk, because they're the only ones that know about York and all of this, they wipe their memories of everything in the last like 2 weeks of them leading up to like everything about York, you know, the Mother Flame, everything about that. They wipe their memories, and Vegapunk writes himself a little note to like remind himself of all that when he like actually wakes up. It's not reminding himself of like York and all that. It's basically just saying like, hey, you're gonna die. It's funny because we see all his reactions to him, like himself telling him all this. Like literally, world government knows you're researching the voice century. There's a traitor among you. You're gonna die. That's basically all it was. The world government knows about you. They know you're researching the voice century. Cypher Pole's on their way. There are Cypher Pole agents in your basement, and buddy, you're gonna die. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm telling myself like, you know, I'm gonna die. And even after he saw that and getting his memories erased, he was still like, I don't know what's going on, but if I'm gonna die, then you know, I'm gonna go out with a bang. And just being a W man's. And then that all explains, like gives all the whole explanation of like why he was so ready to die on Egghead and why he really didn't like, you know, care about his life, because he knew from his note that like if he was gonna die, he was dying for a reason. And then also he was prepared to die from the very beginning of this. And then the chapter ends off with Usopp reuniting with all the giants, Luffy still being the little old man self he is, and we are on the way to ELBAF. There's gonna be another crazy arc. I really hope it's not as long as Wano, because like ELBAF, assuming Usopp actually gets a buff, it should be a pretty decently long arc, but if not, I still hope it's good. And oh my gosh, the around the world news and just the extra stuff that's happening like around the world right now that we always get like 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters after a new arc. But I hope y'all enjoyed the chapter. Let me know how y'all liked it, and I will see y'all in the next one.